This last match day was a record for the U.S. men's national team, as 9 Americans got to get some minutes over these Tuesday and Wednesday of this past week. We had Cameron Carter-Vickers in the 1-1 draw for Celtic against Shakhtar Donetsk away from home, actually in Warsaw, because they cannot play their games in Ukraine for obvious reasons. Jimmy Chandler came on late for Eintracht Frankfurt. Josh Cohen made some big-time saves, by the way, for Maccabi Haifa for against PSG and against Messi and Neymar and Mbappe. That was pretty cool, but they still lost. Serginho Dest getting some minutes for Milan. Weston McKennie playing for Juventus. Christian Pulisic coming on for a little, wave for about 5 or 6 minutes for Chelsea. Gio Reyna got to start against Manchester City. That's probably the biggest deal. James Sands, listen to this, got 2 yellow cards in 2 minutes, got a red card, got a penalty, and then Rangers went on to lose. So that sucks. Malik Tillman came on with about 20 minutes left to go, and the game was pretty much out of reach. And I did see that Greg Berhalter came out and said that he was disappointed in how Malik Tillman played in those back-to-back 4-0 losses against Celtic in the Old Firm Derby and against Ajax in the match day 1 of the Champions League.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, imagine your national team coach coming out publicly and saying he's disappointed in him.
Well, wouldn't you say Paul Arriola's in front of Malik Tillman in the depth chart? Different positions, but in terms of like making the roster of trust?
I could see Tillman out and P-Folk in. Like in a scenario where
I don't think P-Folk's coming anymore, man. I've thought about this a little bit. I don't think he's coming.
I think if he continues to score in the Bundesliga come November, and you need some versatility in that trio of strikers that you have, because they're all kind of in the same bucket. They all kind of they kind of do all the same thing. You need to have somebody who can give you something different, because in a game where you need to change tactics, maybe you got to lump it forward or just whip balls in the box. You need to have somebody who can score goals, and it's just a big target, big body. For me, I think that if he continues to impress and play and
what
score,
else is he had to, but Charlie, he didn't get called in for these, and he's already proven that.
I know,
he's already done enough in the Bundesliga.
But this is just a camp. This is a camp. This isn't the end. You still have you still have, if Malik Tillman continues to go like up and down, he doesn't really do it, I could see him not going.
That's okay. I agree with you on that, but I don't know.
Malik Tillman has no professional seasons. This is his first full professional season, right?
I think that P-Fox should go for all the reasons that we've suggested. I don't understand why he's not in this camp. I just don't understand why he's not here.
That's why
guess what? Situationally, we might fall behind Japan or Saudi Arabia. So wouldn't you want to see what that looks like? Or to Greg's point, I've already know what P-Fox can bring, so I need to see other guys. Like, well, you already know what Sargent can bring, baby. Like, you could use that same rhetoric for all the players.
Let me ask you guys this.
How it goes. Coaches can use whatever they want.
No, of course. Well, they're in charge.
Any reasoning to select players.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
and it can work against you. It can work for you.
Yeah, true.
Let me ask you guys this. Because we know how it works, right? You see in scenarios where they go, well, I want you playing regularly, and then when you play regularly, you're like, well, I want to see you playing regularly for a full season. Like, I want to see you really, and I want you to dominate
and in the top league.
You got to be against better competition. Like, we know, like, you have any excuse you want when you're a coach, and some of them are valid, and some of them are just the easiest way out. I get that, but for Jordan Pefok, and I was talking to my guy John Parker about this yesterday, who was saying, in theory, aren't our best guys in the air already on the field? If you are looking for a Jordan Pefok to come in the game, and it's going to be on, like, what you're looking for is somebody in set pieces, in theory, right? Which is Walker Zimmerman, Weston McKennie, are like basically our center backs, and Weston are our best.
I don't think Pefok is in there for his aerial prowess. I don't think he's even that great in the air, all that great in the air. I think what he's great at is just being a big body in the box and throwing his long ass legs at a cross. And just being a nuisance, drawing 2 center backs or 2 defenders out of space to mark him, create space for somebody else. And maybe it's his near post run or a flick or whatever it is. He has a knack. We've seen it in Champions League, even when he's scoring against, top clubs. It's not that you're like, oh my God, Pefok can dribble all these players and Pefok's so good in the air. No, he's just a presence and he has a nose for goal. You can't teach that. That's why I'm saying, man, a striker of his size and just his ability in the box just to score goals and put himself in good spots, I think you can always make room for that, especially if you're in form, right? You're in form in the Bundesliga, not just if he was still in Switzerland, you could make that argument all day.
Totally.
Yeah, it's the Bundesliga.
It is kind of sad that we said we'll see we're going to give him 3/4 of a goal for every goal he scored because he was in the league and they didn't even win the league and blah, 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 blah. And then he's gone to the Bundesliga and he basically scores every game or has an assist.
He's got 2 goals and 2 assists in 5 Bundesliga games.
Maybe, he's
they're top of the table. Like,
he's getting subbed in the 60th minute or 70th minute. He can't finish a game. So that's why.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Gio Reyna then, getting a surprise start, in my humble opinion, against Manchester City. Obviously going to be a tough task for any player and any team. We're going to be chasing shadows for a lot of the game. But he got to get the run out, and he doesn't look out of place out there. That's always the number one thing I'm looking at. Do our guys look out of place? And Gio obviously has the talent to run with anybody in the world, which is very cool to see. What is your thoughts about it, Heath? Is there anything about his game that you liked, or was you just happy that he got some minutes?
No, but Micah Richards said that Gio Reyna has just been on it this year and obviously doesn't know that he's coming off of an injury and barely played. but shout out to getting the big stage and then going to the Americans and then not actually knowing what Gio Reyna says. But also Gio Reyna
forgive the homie. He missed that piece of homework, that sheet.
Anyways, but obviously the truth within all of what Micah Richards said is just the quality that Gio Reyna has. He's an unbelievable player, and I think I still continue to believe has the most upside of anybody to be a star in our national team. Again, we talk about Yunus Musa being potentially the same, but in terms of that upside of what his age is and the comfort he has, and just his ability to just look at a field and go like, oh yeah, I can take on any one of these guys. I can create moments of magic. I can beat somebody on the dribble. I can set up a final pass. I can finish. Like, those are things that are going to only get better with his game, and to be his age and coming off of his injuries and the mental side of that is pretty spectacular.
I agree with you. What I want to say when I watched his 90 minutes, and Charlie, I'm going to throw it to you on this, is that, or his significant minutes for Dortmund yesterday, I don't know if he's playing at 100%, and I don't know if he will. And I assume at the World Cup he will, because it's the World Cup, and whatever happens after that, if you get hurt, well, the World Cup's over, and this is kind of what you're building up to, so you're trying to save yourself for this. My fear is that he probably doesn't press as consistently or as hard as Greg's going to want, and I think that's going to make room for Brendan Aronson to potentially start, or Timo Weah. Like that's my only fear. That on the flip side to what Heath said, you get this guy that's incredibly talented and his ceiling is limitless. The guy is incredibly talented. But the other side of it is, and this is also something I had when I was playing, do you want your most talented players to waste any goddamn energy playing defense? You really don't. But as it seems to shift in the modern game, everybody has to be locked in and doing their job and doing their
Coach
part.
Jim, come on now.
I'm just saying though. I played with Preki, won 2 MLS MVP awards. The guy didn't want to defend. And when you think about it, I don't really want him to defend. We should be able to, in theory, definitely a different time because I played in the 50s. But if you have 7 guys or 6 or 7 guys behind the ball, they should be able to solve a lot of the problems. And that allows a Preki-esque player to find those pockets. And when he gets the ball, he's got the energy to essentially run downhill and make some magic happen. And I wonder that with Gio Reyna and I don't think our team is set up for that. And I wonder if that's going to be making him the odd man out and maybe more of a super sub than as a starter, because he might not be doing those other necessary things at that level. I think he can do it. It's just a matter of whether he wants to. Now, this might be me nitpicking him a little bit, but this is the little things that I'm seeing, mainly because I'm a little bit concerned that he's not playing at 100%, which I get, because every time he goes to 100%, he gets hurt. And that's been happening a couple times now. And that makes me a bit nervous for him and his career overall.
I don't think it's that he's not playing 100%. I just think he's not 100% fit.
Okay.
He's not recovered all the way.
No. That's a great distinction. I appreciate you bringing that up. I agree with you.
Still pushing forward to catch up, considering all the time he missed out. So if he stays injury free, because with each injury, you learn a little bit more about yourself, and you also learn a little bit more about the push to trying to fulfill your potential and fulfill kind of the amount of time that you've missed. And so I think for Gio Reyna, it's all about the recovery and the preparation. So if he can continue to build himself up come World Cup time, you're going to be asked to defend and attack, especially in the Bundesliga. A club like Dortmund, you can't you're not allowed to just sit and attack. You have to defend. Otherwise, you lose to Bayern 10 times out of 10 times. You can't, your team just doesn't have that luxury. So I think for Gio Reyna, it's just we all know he's so gifted. And when he is playing and fulfilling his potential, he will be starting on this group. And he's one of the most special players that we've ever produced. Given that, Yunus Musa's up in the same category as him, because Yunus Musa has things that he doesn't have. So I'm really high on this group. I'm really high on Gio Reyna.
They're both 19, right? Aren't they both 19 still? I think Musa turns 20 in like a month or something like that, and Gio's still 19, if I remember correctly.
I just think it's just gonna take time.
Okay, that's fair, and I appreciate that take. I'm just kind of, I guess, extrapolating what that would look like, and when Greg's trying to build his team, will he include that or take into consideration that we may not have 100% fit Gio Reyna for a number of reasons. One could be physical, one could be emotional, right? And just that risk of always like, oh man, if I push
Musa
too hard, but Musa's got. I'm not worried about Musa. I'm more worried about Gio
athletic ability, acceleration, the ability to really break through the lines with a certain burst that Gio Reyna doesn't have.
So we got a question for everybody listening. Roman says, what does Musa have that Gio does not? And so, Charlie, that's your answer.
Yes.
To that.